up, social media family? It's Chris, your favorite coach, your favorite host, all things favorite. If you're looking for a favorite, you're on the market, why not let it be me? It's Cyber Monday. I can be your favorite for free, no discount here. And welcome back to another episode of Conversations with Chris, where I do them randomly. They're not scheduled, so if you're catching it now, here we go. And I like to talk to people that I find interesting, that have wonderful things to share, to find out what magic they're producing in the world. And today, that person is Tara Tobin, our vital breath coach. And that's only a little bit about what she does. So, hey, Tara, thanks for jumping on with us today.
How you doing?
Oh man, every day above ground's a good day for me. And
all right.
A vital breath coach, it doesn't even scratch the surface on who you are and what you do and what you're producing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up here?
You know, I've often said I should change the vital breath coach. It just kind of came to me when I thought I would have this amazing, huge business and I was going to make a gajillion dollars and I was going to change the world. But nonetheless, of course, one person can always change the world. So what I do, Chris, is that I've been a Pilates teacher for many years. It's over, I guess, 20, 25 years now. So I've always had my own places. I've moved to other countries. I've worked in Costa Rica. I've worked in many places. And I understood bodies, at least I thought I understood bodies. I understood movement. And to be honest with you, I think the reason why someone suggested I should be on your show is because I treated someone and they saw what I was doing and they recognized it. And so my new modality is breathwork. Putting people into guided meditations and somatic work. And the soma is the body. So we believe that, or at least people like me believe that the body speaks. The body speaks in volumes. It also, what happened to me and how it started, I guess I'll just start from the beginning, is that bodies were not bodies anymore. As people were moving, I started to notice, this might sound crazy because it sounds crazy to me, even when I'm saying it out loud, I saw energy coming off of their body. It comes off, it comes in, you can see it moving. If you're attuned to the vibration of this energy, and that's what happened to me, I started to see beyond the physical body. And when I see a client now, I have found to this, I like to say it's a craft, and I believe that every human on this planet can do it. It's not just me. I'm not saying I can do it. No, I teach people how to check in with their own energy. And really, that morphs into connecting to your higher self. It morphs into manifestation. It morphs into other things, right? Learning your body's magnetic properties, because we're magnets. I know you've heard this before, that quantum world.
Sure.
Right. So what happens when I see a client is that I work with their energy, meaning that we all have an energetic field that is about 12 to 15 inches off of your physical body. We all have it. So it's kind of like learning your intuition, telling people about their, following their gut. And that's hard for people. It's hard for people to think that life can be that simple. Really, if you just follow your gut, it could lead you to places that you didn't think that you could go. It also is very healing. So I think a friend or a colleague of yours, a friend of yours, recommended that we have this conversation because I believe, and he believes, that bodies can speak to one another. So while I was on top of teaching people how to do a fitness move, and it was like, just like in the books, you're just teaching you just doing what you know. And all of a sudden you're hearing your body is reacting to another human's body. And then you're merging. And that's what would happen to me. I would merge with them at first. And somehow they would feel better. I didn't do anything. It was like all the things that I learned from those books and Pilates teaching and all, it kind of didn't apply. I was doing other things with them energetically that was really giving them a better result. And I didn't know how I was doing it. Yeah. It was confusing.
Well, because you say anybody can do this, but it's but sometimes it it chooses you. Like we were talking about the other day, you just happen upon something like this by accident. Like, hey, what is this feeling?
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, it
seeing.
wasn't easy, Chris. In fact, I got sick, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was sick a lot because I was
Absorbing all that.
Absorbing it, not realizing that there are people on this earth like me called sensitive. And that's something I've kind of figured out now. Okay. Each soul, each person has a different process, and honoring their process is treating them like an individual. So it's really not it might not be what we think that they need. You have to feel into what somebody might need. So what happened with me is, because I was getting sick from other people, I had to learn how to now not become that sponge, right? That sponge. And so I had to learn how to create some boundaries. And that's my friend Jody saying, hey, where she's also a great practitioner. I have a lot of people that we work with. I joined a company with hundreds and hundreds of people like me out there. So there is a movement. There's a movement for healing people energetically, meaning it's just human to human. So the thought is that the body, if you can tune in and kind of be quiet and go within, your body can speak to you, which people don't get. You're like, what does that mean? I know you've heard your higher self. Have you heard of your higher self?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's we're both fans of Joe Dispenza, right? Dr. Joe, and we're talking about and so to some people, they start to hear about this stuff, and it sounds like airy fairy kind of spiritual, like connected. Yeah. When you talk about on a molecular level, that's clearly we're kind of all made out of the same stuff. We got protons, neutrons, electrons.
There you go.
It might seem like, it's funny because when I brought Erin skydiving for the first time, she never felt so connected to the world, because she realized that air is not empty space, right? So there's not empty space here, and there's stuff coming off of us, and all of this, everything around us has these energies on a scientific level. We're more than just what we see or feel.
Right. So opening yourself up to the idea that there's possible things that are out there that you cannot see, but we can feel, and then we can use this to help you in your everyday life. Like you say, the space between. Yeah. Chris, there's a space between you and I right now, where you and I are doing the dance. How you doing? We're doing the dance, right? Yeah. So this, what happens during session for me, we have the conversation like you and I are, and then about 10 to 15 minutes in this conversation, our bodies, our energy starts to merge, because that's the intention. It's always about the intention. Why am I doing something? Right? Why am I? And your friend had this great experience in the air because she was present in the moment, right? She was present. You told her, you helped her through that. You were her guide through that process, and she felt safe to experience the process because you were kind of holding that space for her.
Right.
You helped her. Now, could you imagine if every human did that for another human?
It's I encourage people to do that, and there's never a moment where you're more present than when you're in tune to that. I think that's what humanity overall struggles with. We're kind of living in the past or the future, just like we're never really present. And I think that's what breathing and meditation and paying attention to your body and going inward really helps you do. But it's not easy. You don't realize how difficult it is to quiet the noise around you. That's why for me, I'm super hyper. I got a ton of energy all the time. And I'm fast paced and I'm aggressive, and it's things like skydiving that are super high energy. Those are so calming for me, and that's it forces you to be present, and that's why I love certain things. I love spontaneity. That's why I like this, and it just forces you to be in a moment. I think there's no better time to be present than in those moments. But
that's a good teaching moment, because being present.
People.
Yeah, of course. That's what it is. It's about being present. What are you doing when you're thinking about the future and you really can't control very much, right? And you're thinking and all your energy is going someplace else. Hone it in, right? We hone it in and we start to be present, knowing that this conversation that I'll just example, this conversation for you and I could be thinking, what is it going to do for my career? What is it going to do? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, who cares? Right. Right. I know ultimately that our energy together, what we're talking about, is going to grow and grow and grow if it's supposed to grow and grow and grow. There's not much I can really do about it except do my best here at this moment and see what happens. So stop thinking about that future thing that you don't really know that's going to happen. But I mean, people say, oh, then you just give it up to God. No, we don't. You do inspired actions. Obviously, you're trying to do things to better yourself every day. You're planting those seeds every single day. So you do inspired actions. Like you just said, I'm going to do a podcast, right? Yeah, it was a thought, but you had to put things in order for it to happen.
Sure.
And then it starts to take on a life of its own. It starts to be a thing. You created something. It was creation. Yeah. And so that's what the hope is, that humans understand that we're really here to create, not to worry, to create, to play, to enjoy our lives, to enjoy our work. And that's hard because some of us are doing things that we don't think we like.
Yeah, that's most of the world, I guess. It's really too bad. And you know, you mentioned before something about following in your intuition, right? That's paying attention to your body, and
absolutely.
And that's just like making these choices. Like, am I going to participate in this thing? Am I going to say yes to this career or yes to this experience? It's a big deal, and I think sometimes you know, that Jim Carrey movie Yes Man, where he says yes to everything and his whole life starts to blossom and open up, but then it starts to crumble. And sometimes it's the power of no. And how much of a role do you think being in tune with your body and your intuition and your own energy, how much of that do you think plays into being able to say yes or no to the right experience?
I think it's the answer. I think that's the key. I think you hit it right, the nail right on the head, Chris. I mean, because it does land in the body as a hard yes. If you let me curse, a hard fucking no.
Yeah, of course.
Like hard no. Like, you know, when you're just like, fuck no, that's your gut telling you, no, this is not good for me. Listen to it. It's when you listen to everybody else. Like, I have a video out and I'll say, I really thought I wanted certain things in my life. I did what I was supposed to do. And you'll hear all these words, the programming. It's just kind of words that we use. But yeah, of course, I was told I was supposed to do this and I believed it. And so my life went this way. It's not like I regret anything. I just wish I would have had these tools or the knowing that I could say no. No is huge. Some people never get to say no in their entire lives. Learning to say no is giving yourself the power or permission to make a choice. So to know people, I didn't realize I had choice in this world. I'm a mom, really, you laugh. I'm from an Italian family. I met someone, I got married. I'm not going to give you my whole shebang, but in my brain, I thought I was stuck. And I didn't have a choice.
Life just happens to you, right? And you do what you should do. We go to the school that mom said we should go to. We get a job that dad said we could, with good benefits and security. And
yeah, and listen, ultimately, I screwed up my kids too. I'm not going to say I didn't. We all screw up our kids.
It's our first time around, right?
And by the way, Chris, I heard that the other day. I heard on I thought it was beautiful. I heard on a commercial. It's your mother's first time around too. Your parents, give them a break.
Yeah.
So we're all we bring these souls into the world. We do our best, but ultimately it's up to the human, even your own children, to figure things out on their own. Yeah. What better way to kind of not listen to what everybody else wants you to do and listen and tune in? Yeah. It's not that's the hardest choice, is not to listen to everybody else, to be an individual, to take your own strengths and use your strengths to create something. Not everybody's good at everything, and you don't know what you don't know. And you can only know what you know.
Yeah, and that's exciting. I always tell my kids, man, just don't let everyone shit all over you. You know, kind of design a life for yourself. And it's hard to do. And I think the greatest gift that we could teach our kids or the younger generation is to be able to discern and decide for themselves and make good decisions, not to make the decisions for them. So, and that's like a delicate balance, isn't it? You know, you have these young minds that are real impressionable, and to try to impress them, to not be impressionable, but, you know, be intuitive and make good decisions and follow your heart and your gut. I think it's, you know, I think a lot of the pain that people are feeling in society is because they're approaching things too logically, like all the stuff that they should do, that society is calling them to do. Or, you know, I'm going to get married because that's what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to have kids. I tell my kids, one of my kids, like, she's like, I don't know if I want to have kids. And I'm like, that's cool. That's fine. You don't ever have to have kids if you don't want to. Really? Yes. I don't want to get married. So no, that's cool.
No, you're giving them permission to be themselves. And you don't know what you've done for those kids by doing that. Well, you gave them the freedom, because really we're all looking for freedom, right?
That's right.
You gave your kids freedom to explore. Mm-hmm. And that's beautiful.
Yeah, freedom of self-expression. And well, who knows? Let's see what they like now. They're just like, why can't you be like a normal dad? Yeah, so I guess I'm not normal. I think that's a compliment to me. So,
and it should be. And the norm, I call everyone norms, right? The normies, that's being a sheep. Yeah. So, and we could go back and like get really deep today, which I'm sure you don't want to go super deep into like the whole quantum idea. But yeah, then it's just like being a sheep. It's not thinking for yourself. It's not making those decisions for you that work better for you. And I watched one of my children really stand up for himself. One has his clear path. It doesn't look like something that we understand. We don't understand, but it's his path. Mm-hmm. And it works for him. And it was, you know, but when they wanted, the government wanted him to do something to keep his job, that was really hard for him to say no.
Yeah. My cousin had that situation. He was in the Coast Guard, and they were forcing him to get a vaccine, and he didn't want to get the vaccine. So he no longer works with the Coast Guard. And
my kid had to lose his job too, and he had to leave. And I was proud of him for saying no.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that I'm not saying what I did or whatever else, but I'm saying he felt really strongly, even though everybody was telling him no. And I'm proud of him for making those choices.
He made to empower people to be able to make decisions. And the freedom of choice, by the way, is the last true freedom that we have. It's the last real freedom you have, even to the point of being alive or not. You know, that's why people are like, you know, like, it's like suicide is illegal, or like what the assisted suicide's illegal. I'm like, why can't we choose like, hey, I'm done, I'm checking out, you know, to make things easy.
Well,
but
it's really having a choice that does give you freedom, right? So say you're it's also about perception, Chris, if you want to take it one step further. Not everyone lives on this planet. We don't live freely. We're not free.
Well, it's kind of like a little prison itself. It just happens to be cool here.
But the prison is in our heads. If we really want to like talk about what we should like going inside. Mm. So inside, you can find freedom. And while going inside, not only do you find the freedom to explore yourself better here on this planet, but you also get to work on your spiritual side. And integrating spirituality for me, and spirituality doesn't mean, oh, it's you know, angels, and no, it's your own thing. Everybody has their own thing, whether it's themselves, whether it's a higher power, whether it's God. It's all in this container, and this container meaning our bodies, right? The skin, but we are more than just this flesh, right?
Meat suit that we wear.
Right. People say, I was going to wait for you to say it because everyone says it as the meat suit, right? Yeah, but it's true.
It is.
So it's very true. And I've known this since I'm a little girl. It's just now I'm kind of able to speak about it. So not only is it true, but everything we do today has a ripple effect for our own souls, not for everybody else. You worry about you. If you go within and worry about what you're doing and you're present in your day to day, and you really focus on you, not what everybody else is doing, not the bullshit, not the gossip. Gossiping is not good. You know, all of the other stuff, really hone in on yourself. You can see a change in the world around you. And people are always shocked. And it doesn't really take much of a shift in thought. It doesn't. It takes a shift. You have to shift your thinking. You have to shift.
The decision happens in an instant. So deciding to think differently it's really instantaneous. But it's easier said than done, isn't it?
It's totally easier said than, like you and I struggle with it every day. It is the work. It's called the work, right? So doing the work, and the more you do it, the more you tune in and turn off the TV and kind of go into nature and just take some time out to see what you really want, what you want. You'd be surprised sometimes what that answer will be. And then it's almost like, in fact, I just got it for myself right now. It's like a release. It's like, oh, the tension goes away. You know that tension everybody has? It almost like it lifts, and it makes you feel lighter. It makes you feel freer. It makes you feel more connected to yourself, which in turn will make you feel more connected to, we say, source or God. And then you'll start to be nicer. I say nicer. You'll start to interact with people who are on your vibration, really. The whole thing is about vibration, frequency, vibration, raising our vibration for so many reasons.
Well, talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about the actual techniques that people can put into practice today. And by the way, you can help them with this stuff. You can help us all with this stuff. And I did put your website here in the comments for people to reach out to you, and you're easily accessible here as well in the social media land. But tell us about some of the things that people can do to kind of increase their vibrational awareness. And I'm
going to give a shout out to this company. I'm even going to shout out to Samantha Skelly, because I really haven't acknowledged. I took a course from Samantha Skelly. Do you know who she is? She kind of runs with the Tony Robbins of the world. Okay. Sometimes she's on their docket. She's a speaker. She has a company called Pause. I decided, yes, I had these gifts and I had an ability for energy, but I didn't know what to do with it. So I also sought teachers in this, so they can help me hone in these skills. That's one thing you can do. Go to take a course. I use Breathwork. I use breath, which I've always used in yoga and Pilates and fitness, but not in a therapy. So we use breath to get out of our head, really, and into the body. And I learned that the body it speaks in so many ways. It's also a container for what you want. Vibration. So once you start to meditation is the key, in my opinion, right? Closing down the chatter, tuning in. And if you can't close down, like you say, Chris, you're always going, right? And you hear it, and you just kind of let it chicka. You let your mind do what it does, and you just kind of let it pass through. And then eventually it starts to quiet. And if you can't, we tell you to use a mantra, which is a word. That word eventually starts to dissipate. And then you're getting into a nice tranquil state. And once you're during that tranquil state, and you do this, it's a practice. We go within to find what we feel that we might want to empty out. So you hear the words, fill up, empty out, fill up. It's also my belief that the body is a container, and we can fill our container up with anything that we want, anything. But I've gotten to the point in my physical body that I can feel it in a certain energy center if I have enough of a reserve of energy to give away. Kind of cool, right?
Yeah, that's excellent.
It's like giving from an overfill of love.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I have so much love that I can give some away.
Well, let's talk about how do you get to that point. So when you're feeling like you don't have it, what are some things that you do or people can do to recharge their batteries?
I think it's personal for everyone. What I like to do is, for me, I just like to sit. I like to sit in nature. Some people, I also like to move. I exercise, and I do mindful movement with breath. It's just something that connects me to think. I might even walk with a friend, share space with someone I know that cares for me, because when I'm depleted, and I am depleted often, right? What will fill me that day? It could be a cup of coffee with my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. It's really, I ask myself, what would be good for me today? And if I am in need of a friend, I will reach out to a friend. If I can't find a friend, I'll center myself and I'll find it
Sure.
in my own heart. It sounds simple. These are lessons that you learn and you continue. And as you're on your journey, we call this a journey, Chris. It's a journey into enlightenment, really. It's a journey to change, and it's a journey to peace. And it's finding that inner peace within you that we all believe that once you find it, you can spark it in others. But what the shift is you have to believe. You honestly have to believe in something you cannot see. That's the hardest thing. Can humans believe in something they can't see?
Well, it's like, you can't not believe in the wind. You can't see it, but you can feel it, right? So there's a lot of things. I mean, I think I think intelligent people I think anybody with any sort of intelligence can acknowledge at least that there's some things that they can't see or feel or that are there that they don't know about. And I mean,
did you know of a day for you, Chris? One day, like you're the day you wake up and everything just works out right.
Yeah, of course.
Could you imagine the majority of your days being like that? 90% of your days.
Well, the majority of my days are like that, but
okay, because
I feel bad about that. But that's
don't feel bad. That's why you're doing this podcast, because you're telling people it is possible.
Have fun
to live your life and have fun.
I think so. And like you said before, it's a lot of it's about perception, and it's I was teasing my girlfriend because I was in the backyard the other day, and I'm in the backyard, and I'm looking at the lake and the pool and the sunrise and everything is beautiful, and I'm like, man, we get to live on this great planet and this great spot and this great yard and this great house and all this kind of stuff. And then she came to the back, she sat down, and she was like, I think the pool has a leak. I don't know if the sprinklers are working right. The grass looks a little brown over there. And then she's like, point and I shook my head and laughed. And she's like, what's so funny? And I'm like, I was just sitting here thinking about like, well, how lucky are we? And you're like thinking about all the chores we have to do. And it's just we were sitting in the same exact place, same perspective, well, different perspective, but literally, 3 feet away from each other, looking in the same direction, seeing something totally different, having a totally different internal experience, like you're saying before.
Well, because I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, you're really alone, right? So this world that you've created is your world. You see the world you want to see. She sees the world she wants to see. It's okay. And you can appreciate that she's just where she's at, right? You just choose to look at it differently. And it's a choice. And that's so right. Kind of like Jason, go tell. It's a choice. And once you realize it's a choice, I went from being depressed and miserable and in a corner and crying and oh my God, everything's happened. Why me? Why me? Why me? And then like, wait a minute. Wait, I did this to myself. I spun myself into the ground. So it did take somebody to help me, someone like me to help me. So now it's my life's mission to help others. And you're doing the same thing, just in a different way, Chris. You're sitting here every day and go, yes, life is fucking amazing if you want it to be amazing. That's right. You want it to be amazing. Well, so
everyone's got a different idea of amazing, I guess. But
well, listen, you can deal with people who have trauma, deep trauma. Those are things that you have to work out. Then while you're working this out in your system, it's again with the breath work and with any kind of help. So you have some support. The body starts to process traumas on its own and you don't get triggered. So yeah, am I processing everything that's happened in my life? Of course, I have memories of things that weren't great, but they don't bother me anymore. I don't give them weight. It's just something that happened in my life. It doesn't define who I am, right? That's something that takes practice.
Yeah.
Not letting your traumas or your triggers push you down. Turn your pain into power. Yeah. So my ex-husband and I had a conversation. I hadn't seen him in we got divorced about 7 years ago. We really haven't had a talk. He's in front of me last week and he's asking me what I'm doing now. He goes, well, basically you're doing everything you've always done. I said, yeah, but I turned my pain. He doesn't know what I had to deal with in the last 6 years. I turned my pain into power. And it wasn't just pain that I found out. I found out I got triggered from my childhood. So there were a lot of things. I'm not saying I live a beautifully glorious life, but I'm a human and we all have stuff to process. But what happens when you do mindfulness, breath work, gratitude, and you really follow a certain journey in your life, these triggers aren't triggers anymore. They don't come with stories. They don't come with depression. They don't come with anxiety. They don't come with all of that. You can change it.
Yeah. It was like I went through like the whole landmark curriculum, and I remember the first thing you learn is like, hey, our life is just a series of things that happen, right? So, but those things only happen in a moment, and it's really what we make those things mean. Like you said, don't let it define you. So something happens, and then we write a story about it. We make it mean something, and then
God, so much, right?
Looks for evidence. Then our crazy brains will look for evidence to validate whatever you want to believe. And I was like, look, if you believe in God, if you don't believe in God, if you believe in war, you don't believe in war, whatever you believe in, you can find evidence to support that. Out there, they're mass murderers. You'll always, whenever they're in court and they're like, God made me do it, or they read something and
they probably really believe it.
Yeah, you're able to find whatever to validate.
You are, but it's also, that's what I'm saying, being around the right people vibrationally can also keep you where you need to be. Yeah, because like you can justify anything.
What are some common practices or behaviors to like something easy people can do day to day to make sure that they're attracting the right energy, the right people?
Well, it's funny that you say, I do I can just write it down. I use things like journaling. All right, I have a journal, right? Every day I wake up, 10 things that I'm grateful for. It always sets the tone for my day. I know that sounds really silly, but taking that 10, 15 minutes before you run out their front door to your whole day, taking a moment to just check in and say, where am I? And you might be in a shit day. Who knows? You might be in a bad mood. At least know you're in a bad mood so you don't bring everybody else into your bad mood.
Well, having an awareness.
What?
Having an awareness of where you are.
Knowing where you're at will help you in your life. Knowing your baseline, so to speak, right? Yeah. And then, as we work together, if you're working with somebody, you notice that your baseline, as you're working on yourself, making yourself better, working on your whatever it is that you need to work on. I don't want to, it's not a general thing. For me, it was very deep and it was very personal. And it was so deep that I thank the woman who held that space for me to process it, right? I processed my emotions, and that's why we use guides sometimes. Sometimes things are not, that's why we reach for a friend, right? But if you look not to your friends or your family, you can find people that really have an open heart and can have the capacity to hold you while you're going through whatever it is that you're going through. So how do you find the right people? Sometimes you have to stop seeing the people that you've seen. You have to play. It's alchemy. You have to feel it in your own body. It's really alchemy. Feeling what person is good for you, one's not. Some people I thought I really wanted in my life, my head believed it, but my body kept running and I wasn't feeling good. So I had to tune into that, connect my body and my brain and say, why am I not why do I, there's something about this person and I'm not quite sure what it is. Right. And sometimes you just never know. Sometimes you never know, but your gut will tell you it's not for you. And that's where we want to get. We want to get you to have your intuition. We want you to get you to your knowing, we call it. It's just a knowing. Yeah. Knowing if something's right for you or if it's not right for you. And that starts to happen. For me, it happens. I can basically ask my own body, is this good for me? And it might push me forward if it is, and it sits me back if it's not.
That's awesome. I gotta come meet with you one day so you can read my body. That sounds cool.
Oh, well, then what happens is, we become channels, and some of us channel, and some of us have all kinds of things that we do now. But being mindful and really connecting to yourself not only helps you, Chris, but it helps everyone around you. Yes. And then it's a ripple effect, and then it helps the world. Thank you, love. Hi, guys. So these are by the way, these are all ambassadors of the good, right?
Awesome.
an entire wave of people now in the world that we call it the collective consciousness. We're trying to raise the vibration of the planet, right? And as you learn to meditate, you can actually, while you're there, feel it. The collective and where people are and how the like-minded people of the world are putting their energy into this. I like to say like an energy bubble, right? It's a layer up in the consciousness of this. I'm going like this because it feels different than your own thoughts. It feels and it's once you can tap in, we call it tapping in and tuning in. Mm-hmm. Not only are you connected to yourself, but you're so connected to the world in a way that I believe it's supposed to be. And you don't need to speak as much as you don't need to get your point across by screaming it. You can get your point across just by being. Yeah.
Yep. Being, I remember we did an exercise called Be With Somebody. You just have to stand real close to them and not say anything. And after a while, it starts to feel uncomfortable. And then after you get through that moment of discomfort, there's like something magical that happens on a spiritual level. And like some people just started crying and some people just started laughing. And they didn't know why. And I think that's a great analogy for like, you're just like standing close to somebody. And at first it's weird and it's uncomfortable. And then if you can just hang on a little bit longer to get to the other side of discomfort, there's real magic and beauty that happens.
There is magic in that moment. It's, again, these moments of clarity in the chaos.
That's awesome.
It's moments of like, fuck yes, in this chaotic, noisy place that we live in. And if you can find those moments of peace, fuck yes, and clarity, then you can live your life in a better, more rich, fulfilled way and learn something along the way. People who are doing the same thing, it's called insanity, that loop, that insane loop. And if you find yourself, whoever's listening, it must be somebody, because I can hear it in my head. Somebody's in a loop. If you're in a loop, you don't need to be in that loop. You just say no and do something else.
That's right. Say no or say yes, and knowing the difference, knowing when to say what, and being in tune with your body. So if thank you so much. Like this is, we can do
this all day, and then we can get into mediumship and healings and this and that. But really, I'm so glad that we touched on this because Chris, it's available to every human on this planet. You have the power. Humans are more powerful than we've been told. So please take a moment to know how strong you are. You can turn your pain into power, and no matter where you are.
That's awesome, man. I was just about to ask you if you have any parting words for everybody.
And that was it.
Yeah, and man,
I am living proof of that. And one day, I've done some radical things in my life, and people are like, you are insane. Why would you do that? I had to rip the Band-Aid and just start all over again and to reset. And you can too.
Yeah, I'm with you. So hit that reset button, rip the Band-Aid off. And the one of the most important things you said today is that everyone's got it, the power within themselves. They don't have to do anything else. And you're available. There's people available to help you, but it's not a need that you don't need others. You have everything within yourself. It's just sometimes other people help bring it out of you or show you that.
Yeah, if you don't believe, find someone that does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because we believe enough for you.
That's right. That's right. That's awesome. So I put your website here, but it's on their YouTube. And so
if anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer anything.
Yeah, and then they can schedule with you right on your website, or they can reach out to you on social media. But thank you so much for joining us. And by the way, guys, if you have questions after this, if you're watching this in a replay, more people watch it after we do it live than when we do it. So the only reason I do it live is because I recorded so much stuff and never put it out. So this, it's done. It's out. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to record it and put it out. So if you're watching it on a replay and you have questions for Tara, just post them right here in the comments and she'll be able to see it. Or you reach out to her, send her a direct message, and you're very accessible. You're easy to get in touch with.
This is my first time. So thank you for being so kind to me and making me feel comfortable. I really appreciate that.
No problem. It's just a talk, right? So you're here in South Florida. I'm Palm Beach. You're down in Boca, right?
I am on Highland Beach. Yes.
Yeah, you are. So you're South Florida based. If you're in South Florida, that's gonna you can actually come here. You can come there, you can participate in your Pilates workshops, all that kind of stuff, right?
That's it.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Tara, and everybody. Peace with hair grease. We'll see you at the next one. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.